Now, a group of distinguished scientists globally have signed a letter calling for a full and unrestricted forensic investigation into the origins of COVID-19. They want full access to be able to investigate without political or any other sensitivities getting in the way. This letter says that as yet there is no evidence demonstrating a fully natural origin of the virus. They say a zoonosis hypothesis is just one possibility. The letter was signed by 26 evolutionary geneticists, epidemiologists, virologists, zoologists, all from leading universities around the world. And one of the signatories is an Australian scientist. Regular viewers of this show will know him well. It's Flinders University Professor Nikolai Petrovsky. He joins me now. Thank you for your time. Nikolai, as we discussed, you're calling for a new inquiry, 26 eminent scientists around the world. What are the main flaws or problems with the WHO inquiry?
So we have to remember that this actually technically wasn't just a WHO inquiry. 50% of the members of this panel were put there by the Chinese government. And given we know that some of the international members of the panel are quite parochial and supportive of China, I think we can assume that China, in fact, were confident that they had the majority of panel members on their side, and which meant the panel could only come to findings that were agreed to by the Chinese government. And again, that's not an independent panel.
I mean, another point in this letter that you and other scientists around the world have written is that any finding had to be approved by both the Chinese and international members of the team. So again, this limits the independence of the inquiry when China has to sign off on the findings, doesn't it?
Well, exactly. So I think, that's the problem here. And, if the cause of this virus is a natural origin, then I think, this panel was suitably qualified and set up to examine some of those epidemiological issues. But it certainly wasn't set up and wasn't empowered to look at other alternatives, including the possibility that this virus escaped from a Chinese laboratory.
Look, in terms of actually investigating that, what sort of records would you need to be able to get your hands on? Are we talking about full laboratory records, personnel files? What is it that you actually want to be able to examine?
Yes, if you were to do a forensic examination of a suspected institution where you thought, this virus may have come from, then you'd need full access to all of their records, both their written records, so the laboratory notebooks, all of the records of the different committees that may have made decisions about projects being undertaken, and then all of the electronic databases where the information is often stored on things like viral sequences. So yes, you'd have to have very extensive access to all of the records of the relevant institute or university or laboratory.
Professor, the WHO has announced just this weekend that it's going to go ahead and release its report as soon as next week. How much confidence do you have in this report?
So again, I think, it really depends on what the report is trying to address. There are eminent people on this panel who have a lot of expertise in, the natural transmission of viruses from animals to humans, and also the tracing of pandemics from human to human. And if they restrict their findings just to those areas, then I think, we should expect a very good report. The problem is that in their press release, the panel went way outside of their expertise and I think were making claims and suggestions of what might not be possible, which really was outside of their expertise or ambit. And so I'm hoping that for their full report, they really will restrict themselves to where they actually can base findings on facts which they can present in that report.
Yeah.